Hey, we are live now.
Are we? Heck yeah.
Are we?
Yes, we are.
Oh yeah, my phone just notified me.
Let's see. Mine has not notified me yet, but my internet sucks. So.
Okay, well, welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah from Novel Sarah-ndipity. This is a booktube channel, but we are going to be talking TV show today.
It was a book first, okay? It was a book
Yes, it
first.
was.
In our booktubers' defense, it was a book.
In our booktuber's defense, that makes it sound like there's only one booktuber and the two of us are just show stands.
I mean, just kidding. But yes, this is my booktube channel, and I'm here with two other lovely booktubers, and I will let them introduce themselves. Go.
That means you're next Q because you're after Sarah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Professor Q. I'm a self-titled professor. I'm from Professor Q's College of Books, and yeah, I'm a booktuber. I don't know.
Hi.
That was good.
Yeah, it was great. Hi, I'm Margaret. I have the channel The Word Nerd. The tagline is I talk about books and Batman, but right now I really mostly just talk about books and Bellamy. So...
I mean, that's
Sarah
very
is
true.
complicit in that. I do a lot of talk about like YA fantasy and writing, and sometimes I talk about comic books when I am actually remembering to read them. So, yeah.
Yeah, and so we are here to talk about The 100 Season 1. And I think Margaret has some notes for us, and we're just gonna... and by notes, I mean like a notebook filled of words.
It's only a page!
She is the word nerd.
Points.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess we could start off with how do our, I guess, initial thoughts on Season 1.
Have you been reading my notebook? Because that is
I have not. We're just linked on this personal level.
Real quick, like I want to this is a rewatch for all three of us, right?
Yes, yeah. It is.
Okay, so I'm interested in like what your initial thoughts were for the first time.
The first time I watched it, I was like, wow, this is intense. There is more blood and violence and gore than I thought going into it. But then by the end of episode 1, I was just like, okay, I can get into this. And then I was gone. I was done.
Yeah,
Here we are.
The first episode depicts one of our main characters getting a log yeeted right through his chest.
Yeah,
and somehow he survives that log yeeting.
It's not really a log. I feel like it's more of a healthy twig.
No, it wasn't.
It was definitely a log, Margaret.
It was a spear.
It was a log.
Okay, fine. So I came onto this actually knowing spoilers about the show the first time. So I knew who the characters I was supposed to like were. The first time
well,
around.
The rest of us didn't have that.
Yeah, well, listen, Tumblr has gotten me into so many shows because I see GIFs of certain couples and I'm like, oh, I like that dynamic. Let's go. Let's see what this is about. So I think I maybe gave people a little more grace first time around because I knew that they would have between season 1 and season 2. But watching it this time, I'm just like, oh my God, Bellamy, what's wrong with you? Like one of my favorite characters, I'm just sitting there going, wow. I did not realize you were legit terrible. I do have to say, the setup for that first episode is just as good as it was the first time. Like the pacing, everything on episode 1 is just like one of the most perfect pilots I've ever seen. So good.
I agree. 100%.
100%.
100%.
100%.
Well, I had realizations of one of my favorite characters too, if I'm not sure, jerk. His name is Finn Collins. Was it Collins? Is his last name?
Collins, yes. Finn something else Collins. He's got some bad middle names that I use for him.
Spoiler alert, we all hate Finn.
Yeah.
Finn.
I forgot to put him in the thumbnail. Oops.
Did you forget or did you do it intentionally?
I forgot.
I actually have conflicted feelings about Finn after these last couple episodes, but we'll get there. So what was your overall impression? Wait, we already did that. What are your thoughts on kind of the dual narrative that we have going on in this show, where we've got one part that is purely sci-fi up in space and one part that's like survival mode?
You wouldn't think it works, but
Yeah.
it does. Like, it's
Yep.
two
I really
completely
like-
different genres almost.
But they are
yeah.
both survival mode in a way. You got guys up in
Yeah,
space
that's
trying to
true.
survive, guys on the ground trying to survive.
True,
They ain't doing too well in space.
I like how they balance each other out, where like they're both, like you said, they're both having survival issues, but like the issues on the ground are so much different from the issues up in space. You know what I mean? Like, that's just such an interesting dynamic, especially when you have all of the communications issues that they have going on. Like, how much could have changed if they'd been able to contact the art from the very...
Yeah, I mean,
mean,
that's true.
I can think of how much would change. We wouldn't have
Anything.
a very sad scene.
Season 1, you can talk about it. Nothing
Yeah,
nothing
we
that
wouldn't
happens
have
in
a
season
calling.
1 is a spoiler.
We wouldn't
Which one
have
would
a
we-
calling episode.
True. Oh, Section 17 is on my list of things to talk about. Because we have to. We have to.
Yes, we
So-
do.
Yes.
We can't ignore it.
Since we're there, let's like, just like, that's one of those episodes that makes it can be. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's like, oh, we need to kill a certain number of people for everyone to survive here. I'm volunteering.
Yeah, the dad, when he volunteered, I was like, I'm done. I'm going to go cry in a corner now. It's fine.
I hope that child survived. She better have freaking survived. We never see her again, do we?
No, she's a one-off character.
Well, that's heartbreaking. Maybe she didn't survive.
I mean, for all we know, she's still alive. But just like,
Maybe she'll show up in the very last season as like the girl that survived.
maybe.
You never know.
She is 6 years older now.
That's true.
So that would put her around the age the 100 was when they went down. Have kind of like that conflict between Kane and Abby and the rest. Like, Abby wants to tell people and Kane doesn't, and Kane is thinking worst case scenario, the worst that humanity has to offer, and Abby is thinking of the best that humanity has to offer. I thought that was, I like how they have that.
Cosmic
Kind of
Adam and Eve.
Oh my gosh.
Like, legitimately, it was like, Kane, you would not have enough genetic material to restart the human race from 2 people.
Kane thinks otherwise.
Just genetically, like. Especially since, and we literally have the thinnest of the gene pools. It's bad.
This is all so true. Margaret, you're just making some very good points.
Okay, so
What did I
I've got to
write
ask.
down for that?
What did you write down for Cosmic Adam and Eve?
I wrote something down because I just remember that scene just through looking through my notes. Is it like Kane is like Thanos, also Cosmic Adam and Eve, WTF?
Listen, Kane is better than Thanos because he sees the rays at some point. I should gesture with this hand because this hand gets in the way of the light. So, okay. So speaking of that, I'm really intrigued, like, this show raises on at what point don't we deserve to survive anymore? Like, so much of what they're doing is survival, and you have Bellamy telling Clark survive are not the same person, but then at the same time you have Abby going, I'm here to make sure that we deserve to survive. This is such an interesting question. Like, at what point is it not worth it anymore?
That is like the ultimate question for this TV show, though, because
Yeah,
I mean, we're not going to give any spoilers away, but the show only gets more intense.
Yeah.
With more violence every season. And so, I mean, we can talk about it with like season 1 with
yeah,
like how far is too far and like stuff like that. But like wow, the ultimate, the 100 question is that.
yeah.
I mean, do we deserve to survive? Do we deserve to decide how Earth survive? That's a big question throughout the rest of the series.
And it also gets into like the rationing and stuff that they have to do on the space station, where like they're literally legitimately sitting there ready to let Jaha die.
Mm-hmm.
They've reached the limit of medication they can give him. And you have Abby willing to risk her life to be like, listen, we still need him. I'm willing to get floated to make sure that he survives.
And he did, because then Kane was going to become Chancellor, and at that point, we weren't really a big fan of that.
No, we weren't.
I forgot
Kane
how much,
realizing
I forgot how much I hated him.
that he is not ready to be in power moment. Go ahead, Q. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just saying how much I forgot how much I hated him. Like, when I was first watching the show, I'm like, oh, that nasty Kane, that jerk. Ooh, foiled that Kane's evil plot again. Become Chancellor. And I would have become Chancellor too if it weren't for the meddling doctor.
And how we... Wow. If the 100 was made into an animated series, that's Kane.
At least in season 1.
Wow. And the way he treats his mom just doesn't help us like him anymore.
No.
It's like she's just this little like angel, like praying to a tree, and he's just like, no, I don't care. It's just like, dude, if your mom wants you to put a drop of water in this tree, you do it.
I can honestly, okay, well, coming from the background I come from, I can feel kind of his conflict, although it's for him, it's more that he's a non-believer, but I can feel the conflict of kind of like your parents being invested in something or believing something in a way that you don't necessarily believe anymore. Does that make sense? Like the way I faith and feel my faith is supposed to be practiced is very different at this point from kind of how my mother does. She asked me to pick up some books today from the library, and if I had known what books I was going to be picking up, I would not have picked them up. Just looking at the subject matter of some of them.
Please tell me those books later on in DM.
I will. I just...
But, okay. I guess this is a good time to bring up one thing I said. You wanted me to say this, Margaret, when I was writing down one of my notes in my phone. It auto-corrected. I was writing a note about Kane reuniting with his mother for like the first time, and actually things looking good for the two of them. And my phone, I was writing down, and wanted to auto-correct to Kane reunites with his PTSD. I'm like, okay, that's not wrong.
Everyone on this show has some form of PTSD, I'm pretty sure. Like, they are all dealing with trauma bad, just not getting a chance to actually confront it and work through it.
They've been through... Wow. I mean, I guess that brings up, like, would you rather be in the Ark when they're like, we're running out of air and we need to get to the ground, and how are we going to do that? Or would you want to be down with the grounders fighting for your life in a different way? Where would you rather be?
So clearly on the ground, like...
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
You don't have to worry
thought
about
it was
breathing in the culling room.
Yeah, you do. Oh,
No,
that's
you
right.
don't, because soon enough you won't be breathing, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore.
I would rather not
True.
experience suffocation. Thank you. I've gotten close enough.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's like, which way would you rather die? Like, running out of air, or like dropping to your death, or dying in an explosion when you hit the atmosphere, or being logged through the chest? Like, what would you rather be?
I would have stayed at camp because I am not a fighter, so no spear through my chest.
Margaret's like, I would stay inside, thank you.
I never left the
Did you
dropship.
saw what happened when folks left camp?
I mean,
Everyone
that didn't
dies when you
help
leave
Raven,
camp.
so she stayed in the ship, and you see how that turned out.
Murphy is Murphy.
I have quite
Well,
a few
you'd be down there with Murphy, Margaret. You still sure you don't want to be up on the Ark?
Yeah, because then I could stab Murphy.
Oh yeah, like no one else has had that idea, Margaret.
Lots of people have had that idea, and it just keeps not working.
But you're sure that yours would. You would be the one to do the deed.
I'd kill him, but I'd feel
You'd get close.
I'd get close. This season reminded me why I disliked Murphy so much for so many seasons, because I'd forgotten that he just offs people because they did him wrong. Like, there is no forgiveness where John Murphy is concerned. And like, that's part of the reason I like Bellamy and Clark so much, is because there's that focus with them, focus for the whole show, but really like it comes in, it really like comes to fruition with them, that idea of forgiveness. And I like it.
Okay, Q, where would you rather be? The Ark or the ground? He's thinking about the technicalities of his decision right now.
He's like, do I want safe water, or do I want to know I won't suffocate?
I want water. I want safe water. I'm gonna stick for my time on the ground. It seems there's a higher chance of dying on the Ark than there is on the ground, because only, like, if I'm remembering correctly, like only one of those drop ships actually make it to the ground in the final episode. Everyone else just burns up. Right?
I can't answer that question.
Oh no, wait, now I remember.
Spoiler.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Oh yeah.
We know that at least one ship makes it to the ground, but that's all we can say.
Listen, just stick with Abby and you're good for like 5 seasons.
At least.
At least. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I have to ask, since we've gotten a little bit into it, what's one of your favorite moments from the show? Like, what are your favorite moments from the show? I think it's easy to figure out which ones mine are, but
yeah, any scene regarding Bellamy. I know that.
No, specific. You're missing half of the key equation there. Any scene with Clark and Bellamy.
Oh yeah. Hold on. I can show you one of my favorite moments.
My literal favorite moment is the one under the tree where she's like, if you like, just because there's so many interesting questions about forgiveness, is where you you get if you need forgiveness, I'll give you that. Like, I love that moment. I think it's the first moment that they really truly like connect on a level of equals. Like, I also love the one where Clark kills Adam because Bellamy realizes that she is tougher than he thought she was. And in my opinion, I think that's when Bellamy starts to kind of go, oh snap. Oh snap. She's gonna be, oh dear. Like, I think that's when he actually starts to fall, now that he'll admit it. But the whole day trip episode, and then especially them under the tree going like, we have to do this together. I love it. And then the moment with Jaha afterwards where Clark's like, no, I need him. Like, you can't kill him. I need him.
Yep. And then, okay, I found mine. Here it is.
Go.
Is it sharing? Yeah, there we go.
Such a great moment. I love
that is a good one.
Bella.
But yeah, that scene happened. I was like, oh, I forgot about that scene. Yeah, that's a really, really good one. You and I were talking about this one last night, and it was like, oh, that's weird configuration. But we're talking
going
about
with
that.
You're the one who can fix it, Sarah, if it bugs you.
I mean, it did it all by itself, so I think it's fine.
Okay.
But we were talking about that. What was our? Hold on, I can pull up our conversation. That was in episode 10. I said, I pasted the image and said, it's Sky Crew mom coming out to put a stop to her kids fighting. And Margaret said, I don't care who started it. I will end it.
They really are the mom and dad of Sky Crew. They are.
Don't make me pull this dropship over.
I will turn this dropship around right now.
I love it. Yeah, I mean,
Sarah.
I love any scene where Clark makes a really badass decision. Like, I love it. Like when she made the grounders all crispy, like that look on her face, she was heartbroken. But then I was just like, she pulled the lever. She pulled the lever, Kronk. She did it, and she saved everyone. But like, I don't know. Every time she makes a really badass decision, like, it's just done so well. Like, it's so intense. So like, you know what's gonna happen, kind of like when you're watching it. Like, you know, like they're gonna like crisp everyone. But, like, your heart is beating really fast. That's
I feel
what
the need to point out that the lever she was pulling, she was actually, the look was because she was leaving Finn and Bellamy out there with the grounders.
Who's Finn?
Who?
It's so funny. The shipping wars between Flark and Bellark were so intense before Lexa got introduced, and now I feel like Flark is the Masami of the 100. Like, it's the shit that both ships are like, nah, that was a bad decision all around.
Yeah.
Okay, so who is your favorite character?
In season 1. Come back to me. Someone else go first.
My favorite character
Can
is
Margaret
going to
go first. I'm also at that stage.
my favorite character is Clark.
Yours is Bellamy, right?
No, actually Clark. I mean, I love Bellamy, and I would defend him with my life.
Are Bellamy's arms a character?
They should be.
Like,
no,
yeah, Bellamy is great, but have you met Bellamy's arms?
Sensual arms.
But no, Clark is actually my favorite character. Like, to die. I would be very sad if either of them died. But I love her story, and I love her as a person, and the fact that she is she wants so badly to always do the right thing, and especially in this season, she's starting to realize it's harder than it looks. Like, there are so many tough decisions that she's having to make right now, and I
like
that.
how even before she's on the ground, she knew what decision was the right decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Which was go find food and water at Mount Weather. It only took them a whole season, but they got there.
They sure did.
Do we know it's
and
not
she was going to help? She was going to help her dad, and I don't know, she knew which decision was the right one, even if it had really bad consequences for herself. Like, that's like,
yeah, I like that, because she's not afraid to make. She would rather it be her than be anyone else. You know what I mean? If she can do it, she'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I figured out my favorite character, and it's my boy Monty.
That's funny. 'Cause
Oh,
I was just thinking either Clark or Monty, and I'm kind of like going back and forth. So I'll just hop into both of your conversations about your favorite characters because I can't make up my mind.
Because Monty, okay, he is like, he's always been one of the smartest in the room wherever he's been,
Mhm.
and he's about unequal to Raven, I would say, right? And he just wants everything to work out fine and good. He just wants peace and all of that. Like Jasper, I also like, but I'm realizing there are some kind of jerkish things about him. Like later in season where he's like, "No, this is my tent. I got the bigger tent. I can kick you out." And I'm kind of.
I was just like, do not disrespect Harper like that, sir. She is better than you know.
Yes, she is. She is. We'll get to see so much more of her later in the season. But I'm like, there are a lot of characters that are jerk. Like Bellamy was a jerk. Who's the other guy? What's his name? Because I really like him now.
Bellamy had a Murphy.
Not Murphy. No. Miller. Yeah. I was like, man, Miller was a jerk too.
I mean, Miller only had like 3 moments, so.
Yeah, but all 3 of his moments were jerky.
Which involved, let's beat up the grounder.
Oof, we're gonna have to have some interesting conversations with the grounders and like the ants. There's a lot of racism involved in just how the grounders are portrayed, especially in the last couple of episodes, because it's very like, here's this proto-Native American type society that's primitive and all of that, and like you got them doing like Native American war cries or what people assume are Native, and I'm just sitting there going, oh, this is bad. The entire time I was watching those last 2 episodes, because I didn't know about any of that stuff the first time I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
No, neither did I. I felt like it could have been portrayed better. Like I get where they were trying to come to or like go to, I guess, because like they didn't have any technology and like kind of go back in time. But I felt like, especially after I knew the backstory of the show a little bit and the people behind the show, I was just like that could have been done so much better than it was. Like that's disrespectful.
And and it's just like, I feel like anytime they have primitive cultures, they automatically revert to indigenous cultures that are with us today and paint them poorly and paint them as the bad guys. Now, obviously, there will be a little more nuance as we go, but this show has never been the most culturally sensitive. Like we've already killed off one of the main Black characters for shock value. We've got another guy going around in a hat because the showrunner thought that like having 2 mixed race Black dudes on the show at the same time, people wouldn't be able to tell them apart, despite the fact that they look very different. Like there's a lot. We've got later on in season 2, so we've got the dot that Desi women wear on their forehead.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I know the term. They actually have that on on a character, and that is straight up cultural appropriation. That's like Coachella appropriation. But we'll get into that in season 2.
Yeah, I gotta actually look more up. I gotta actually look into this stuff a little more because I was always kind of naive about that stuff. I was just like sitting there watching the show. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, it's hard because you don't like go and like look up like news articles of like every show you watch.
No,
at least I don't. But I think I only found out kind of what was going on in the show when a character dies later on in like a season or 2. I won't say who. I mean, a lot of people die. Like you wouldn't even be able to guess. Yeah. But and then I was like, and then it kind of like blew up on social media, and then that's kind of how I learned about it. But like otherwise, you never would have. So it's just one of those things that
like I know
once you know it, you can't unknow it. So
I know some of that stuff, but again, I still didn't look too deeply into it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And it's partly like the actor that left the show because of the bullying, and he's been public about this, so it's not like we're talking about anything that's like talking about anything that's like what's the word, like under like unknown. He's talked about what's happened, but he actually wants people to keep watching the show. He just was no longer willing to work in that environment because he understands that there are a lot of people whose livelihoods are dependent on the show. So, but like, just there's a lot of stuff that it is peak white feminist media and not really intersectional feminism on the show. And I think we maybe get a little bit better in later seasons, but it's still the same showrunner, so I'm not sure how much better it has actually gotten. So
that's true. Yeah, I think. I mean, I think it's gotten a little better, but I mean, I know it's also hard from our white people point of views. So
yeah, and most of what I know comes from people who are not white, from them talking about it. But there are a couple of Native American booktubers that I follow, and they've been talking a lot about Native American appropriation recently, so it's been on my mind. So I mostly talked about it is in the terms of like anti-Indigenous coding, because it's not just Native Americans that have some of these things that are being used as a trope to signal that this kind of more tribal mindset. Although at least they didn't call them tribes, at least they called them crews. That was a good decision on their part. Because that can actually be that's very harmful. Native Americans prefer you don't use the word tribe, I guess is what I'm trying to say, for anything that is not actually a Native American tribe.
That makes sense, though. So
yeah, it is far from a perfect show. I still love it, though.
It's
so
good.
All right. What's a quote from this season that has really stuck with you? I think I've already told you mine is, if you want forgiveness, I'll give that to you.
I didn't come prepared with quotes.
I have some quotes, but they may not.
Even if it's just like that moment when so-and-so said whatever they said.
The only quote I can think of is "Bring the guns."
Oh, it's such a good quote,
that's the only one I can think of. So, I mean, I guess somewhere in my mind it made an impact.
Yes, because Bellamy was like, guns? Guns? I get to bring guns?
Oh, okay, here's one. I think this is from the episode where before, like, when Murphy is getting hung and stuff. I have it written down, Clark saying, "This is not who we are," and Bellamy saying, "It is now."
Oh, yeah, that's the same episode that we have. That's when they're torturing, or when they're getting ready to torture.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Sure.
If I looked ahead of my notes, I would have realized that.
That's the same episode that he says who we are and have to be to survive are not the same thing. Which introduces the idea, like, I love that idea that, like, sometimes you have to sacrifice your humanity to be able to survive. Sometimes you have to do not great things to make sure that you stay alive. Okay, hold on. Speaking of Bellamy and awesome quotes and Clark, I love how leadership is explored in this show. Like, you have the dual struggles of, like, you have Bellamy and Clark on the ground having this tug of war between the two of them, and then you Kane and Jaha and Abby in this triangle where they're kind of causing friction.
Don't forget Diana.
Oh God, I try to forget about Diana.
The ultimate season 1 villain, Diana, whose machinations laid undetected for years.
I actually forgot that she was the one that had Jaha shot. I thought it was Kane who wanted Jaha shot.
No.
Kane might be a dirtbag, but at least he has morals. I don't know where I was going with that.
I mean, he does. He represents a very strict, rigid morality that leaves no room for like justice. And I love his development in this season alone, where he's like, screw the rules, we're gonna do what's right.
Mm-hmm. Who needs screw the rules, or one rule? What was it? It was like one rule. There are no rules or something.
I think Jaha said that sometimes to do the right thing, or something along the lines of sometimes to do the right thing, you have to ignore the law.
Yeah, and then Kane brings that up like in the last couple of episodes.
In the very last episode.
Yeah.
Because he went and rescued Jaha, because even though Jaha said, no, don't do it. Which was the smart thing to do, because all of their scientists and everyone were on the ring.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, it wasn't like a big effort, like it was impossible. All they have to do was just move a bunch of debris.
Yeah. Well, I think they really talk it up like it's a risky thing. We don't really see the risk because they don't show it to us, but they did talk it up like this. You could potentially walk out and die.
But it was on the other side.
Yeah.
There was no risk involved, except it took like, what, 30 minutes to move that debris at most?
No, because they were running out of oxygen too. They were running out of oxygen, and they didn't know what pieces of the station were connected. So, like, he was talking about the fact, like, you could open a door and walk right out into space, or be sucked out into space, because you might not. Afterwards.
But I'm talking about with just saving Jaha and his folks. It wasn't a risky mission. Like, Jaha was like, no, get yourself to the mess hall. Don't save me. He made it sound like it was more of a risk to save him.
I don't know. It's Jaha. He's weird in ways. So.
Yeah, he is, and he will be even.
I can't go. Don't go there yet. Listen, that actor is a disaster. Just knowing some of the stuff that he has done and said, especially he just came up in the news cycle recently because he was apparently he's a Republican, which doesn't make sense. But he's also like he was kicked off of Grey's Anatomy for throwing around homophobic slurs. So he's a disaster. But like Jaha as a character is so interesting and complex, especially this season. Like I love him. And he does such a good job of being this guy that is like got the weight of the world on his shoulders, literally.
Oh, Jaha. He goes through a roller coaster kind of character development, not only in season 1, but like the entire series.
He has no standard character. I feel it's like
he's a static character.
Yeah,
it's a new Jaha every season. Except for like the final few seasons.
Like, what are we getting? What are we getting? No one knows.
He's very static this season, and then I think we start to see him take some risks and start to change in upcoming seasons. But I won't get too much into that. Yeah. But I do really like his willingness to sacrifice himself and like be a real true leader. Like we see in that final episode where he's like, you know what? Someone needs to do it. There are other people on this ship that like he knows they'll need Sinclair. He knows they'll need thing. Speaking of Abby, let me go back to that point in a minute. But he's like, I'm here. I can do it. So I'm going to go and detach the Ark from the ring. Like, such a good character. How did that moment make you guys feel?
Brought up so many memories. But Abby, you were gonna say something about
so
our dear woman Abby.
Actually, no, it's more to do with Abby as a doctor. And can we just the delinquents, especially Bellamy, are really cavalier with Clark's life, considering she is the only medical professional that they have. Like, if someone gets hurt badly, she's the only one that knows how to do it, and yet here Bellamy is like almost dropping her in a pit of spikes. I'm like, seriously, Belle?
Like, we're all gonna go save someone, but the only person that can actually save this person, we're just gonna, maybe I'll just drop her to her death. And then, like, everything that we went out to do today is just worthless and stupid because, I mean, we go out as what, 3 people? We're going to come back with the same amount, but the person we saved is going to die anyways because the person that was going to save him, we killed.
They probably would have just left him there.
Probably.
Maybe. It seemed like Bellamy didn't care about saving Jasper. His main goal was to try and kill Clark and them.
Yeah.
I don't know how he was gonna do that with Finn and Wells there. So
he was the only one with a handgun.
He was. So he would have shot all of them. I mean, I guess if he did,
he would have shot at least Clark and probably Finn too, which God bless.
That wouldn't have been a bad thing.
And I think Wells would
less of Finn if he would have just killed Finn right then and there.
There were so many times Finn could have died. I had when Lincoln almost killed Finn. Yeah, I had a note.
Kill him.
I had a note for that. I was like, you should have gone for the head.
I was like, just let him die, guys. Just let him die. He causes so much trouble. Let him die.
I had a few.
Go ahead.
I had many notes in that episode that were just all like that. Like, why are we still trying to save Finn?
Finn doesn't exist. A lot of the good characters don't exist in the books, but Finn doesn't exist in the books. I'm just like, why did we have to come up with him? Why couldn't we have done a Bellamy Wells Clark love triangle like is in the books? Because that's a love triangle in the books.
Mm-hmm.
If only.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, I want to kind of cycle back to this idea emphasis that they have on forgiveness, because it's not just Bellamy and Clark. I really think that's an interesting thing to explore with characters, like redemption arcs. And I like the fact that, like, showed they deserve forgiveness kind of route with forgiveness. It's just like forgiveness is just something that you have to work toward. Like, you don't get to decide. Like, there's no approaching the people that they hurt necessarily. It's like something you have to work out on your own. And I like that, because I think that's more what forgiveness is than it, like, just like guilting people into forgiving you because you're trying to do better. Like, people actually try to change in the show.
I also think it's interesting when they talk about forgiveness on the show, because before they sent the 100 down, like, forgiveness wasn't a thing. Like, you did something bad and you were floated.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, you didn't have a redemption anything. Like, you were just dead. Like, so the fact that
if you were over 18.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It's like the road that they take talking about forgiveness is almost like the characters, like, they do a really good job at characters not understanding what, like, forgiveness means, because they didn't grow up with, like, being able to do that. And I feel like that's why they take such, like, a roundabout way of, like, dealing with and talking about forgiveness, is because, like, that's just not a thing.
When they got to the ground, they're like, okay, let's try and do better here and not float everyone who breaks the law. And they tried doing better by saying, no rules, we can do whatever the heck we want and not get in trouble. But then that starts kind of like punishment and like forgiveness kind of start coming up with the episode where after Wells dies, we're trying to figure out who killed him. And they had two different standards. Like with Murphy, it was he has to die. He has to die, but not at first, because they're like, well, we shouldn't do that because then there's going to be chaos, which Bellamy said no doing that. He didn't want to do that.
The voice of reason, you're messed up.
Yeah. Oh, he was so mad at Clark. He's like, what do you want me to do? What?
Well, that's such an interesting thing to bring up, because like they have this pattern of and will start stuff. Will be like, we shouldn't do this, but they'll go on and do it anyways. And so to say, I'm just gonna let you like crash and burn on this one. We'll see what happens. Because that's basically what Bellamy does. I think, do you think it would have been as easy for them to get Murphy kind of in that position if Murphy hadn't have been such a dick to like everyone? Like that episode was very hard on like Murphy is a tool.
Yes, he has been a jerk to everyone because then when it came to Charlotte, they're like, "Oh no, we shouldn't do that. She's a child, and also she wasn't a jerk to everyone." And thing that was able to live, breathe, and talk. She murdered someone, but it's Bellamy who was dad enough to teach her that.
In his defense, I don't think that's exactly what he meant.
I know that's not what he meant.
Parenting moment.
Right. I mean,
parenting moment number 1 on the 100. Today, one of my children killed the other child.
It wasn't what he meant, but it's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I think it's hard because, like,
it would be. I don't know. I think it's just because Murphy is Murphy, and I don't know. I feel like they want to do better, and they don't want to just like float someone, or hang them or whatever, shoot them, stab them. You know, it's the 100. They get creative, but like. At some point, with dealing with Murphy for so long, like, I think they were just waiting for an excuse to, like, kill him without just, like, killing him. They're like, oh, okay, he did this, and now it's okay. Like,
Well, I think that's the interesting part of that decision where Clark's like, we're not going to do the same rules that we had on the Ark. Like, one strike doesn't mean it's over for you. We're not going to be the ones. But, like, basically, it's not all that different from them being floated out with the grounders. You know, maybe he would survive, but at what cost?
I mean, he did.
Murphy finds a way to keep on going always.
I was watching episode 13 and I'm just like, how is he still alive? Like, I know he's a
like he made it back.
How?
He ran off and found the grounders again, and somehow he was. And then he got stabbed in the leg.
Like, I'm like, he should be dead by now.
He should. There are a lot of folks who should be dead by now, but should have died a long time ago.
There are so many questionable medical decisions made on that show. And I'm just like so many, the number of times I'm like, they could be bleeding internally. They're probably bleeding internally, and it takes to the last episode to get someone who's actually dealing with internal bleeding. When they cauterized Raven's wound, I was like, that's not going to fix the problem.
It's kind of like all their medical decisions were like, pour Jasper's moonshine and you're good to go.
That would get rid of all the bacteria in you, even the good bacteria.
That's true fact.
Although I love, like, I had a note also, just semi on topic, where it's like Jasper used his chemical skills, his chemist skills, to make moonshine, and that's it.
I mean, why not?
I mean, you have no adults, so.
Yeah, we need to talk. You know, this is becoming. Let's take a moment and talk about Bellamy.
I'm just going to leave for a minute and then let Margaret do all the talking. Bye.
We won't bring out the ghost. He is such an interesting and complex character to me. Like, layers to him. And I think
in season 1, you get to see both sides, like him, like basically raising his sister, and then him finding even the smallest excuse to grab a gun and shoot someone. Like, it's like, oh, who do we have here? Who are we dealing with? And like, we don't know, but I don't think Bellamy is quite sure either.
the real relationship on this show is Bellamy and Guns. That's the real relationship on the show. I think it's
the moment he found those guns, he was the happiest he could have ever been. He's like, "Oh, waifu, I found guns." But then also when he starts first using the guns, it's like, perfect shot. Let me show you. Oh, no, that didn't work. And then Clark takes her for a shot. Right on target.
No, I think she missed
Shows
the target.
Bellamy up so much.
But she at least
she hit it, at least.
Oh, and then Raven calls Bellamy a terrible shot.
I don't know. She seemed confident with guns as soon as she came out of the dropship holding one. That's called character development.
It is. Oh, Finn had character development too. I love the fact that, speaking of Bellamy, that he's like, the whole season, she's like, I'm not going to touch a gun. And then he ends up touching the guns to save Bellamy, who obviously needs to be the future love of Clark Griffin's life. Someday they will be in love.
But I don't like that character development.
No, not a great character development, but it is very
ironic. Went backwards.
Yes.
Clark with guns is a good character development. Finn with guns is not.
Stand clear.
So back to Bellamy. One of the things I realized, like I'm sitting there like, why is he making so many questionable decisions? Because I know a very different Bellamy from the one that is in season 1. And I realized that like Bellamy in season 1, the only people he's known he can depend on is himself. Like so many of his decisions can be traced back to him being like, like his experience, like being in the poorest section, knowing that if someone's going to screw him over, they will. No one is going to take his side, and he is out for it. He's out on his own, and he's also out on his own and able to like act out for the first time probably in his life, because so much of his life was controlled by this fear that if anything bad happened, they would find Octavia. Like he walked out with.
I think his whole character can be rooted back to his sister. Mm-hmm. His love for his sister, his need to protect her, and when everything went wrong, I think that is when he became cold.
Mm-hmm.
You also have to think about the fact that he's responsible for his mom's death, technically.
He's responsible for it all. Poor guy.
He's responsible for Diana almost getting in power.
Ugh.
Yeah, and he's going to carry that, which is the interesting thing, is he's going to carry that through the rest of the season.
Well, he was like almost...
Especially the fact that 300 people on the Ark died because he broke the radio.
It was all his fault.
It all comes back to him. Jeez.
Dang it, Bellamy.
A lot of folks. If they had just gotten to Mount Weather, they would have been safe and fine, and nothing would have gone wrong. Finally, they got there. Then Jasper had to get a log thrown through his freaking chest. Also, I love, okay, this isn't really a spoiler, but I was noticing like all this great music being played in the background. We lose that eventually. I don't know what point, but there's no more like music being played. Like when they first get to the ground, you got Imagine Dragons Radioactive blasting, and that is so great. And then in the final season, in the final episode where they're all leaving camp, you got this great song by Woodkid playing, and they have so many great music choices, but eventually they stopped doing that. I don't know why. I was like watching this, I'm like, yeah, they used to do that. That's great. I loved it, but now it's gone.
That feels very much that era, I feel, of television when they did season 1. I think they definitely back off from it, especially the more well-known songs. Like, we did have a song at the very, very end of season 6, but it is a subtler and lesser well-known song. But the music, the music and the technical decisions made on this show, the transitions in this season were so good. Like that final transition from Clark passing out to her waking up in the White Room, I was just like, these transitions are so good. And then like the fact that they do like the flashbacks are kind of in this grainy 80s style.
Yeah,
filming.
I did like how they did like the filming or like effects for the flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
It was so good.
Like, because you could tell they were flashbacks, and then I think it made it a little bit more intense. Like just some characters walking around.
I don't know if that's really specific to the 100. I think it's more CW specific.
Is it?
Yeah, that's true.
Because a lot of CW shows, like I'm watching, I watched The Flash, and that has a lot of that effect. Like the flashbacks on there.
So does the Arrow.
Yeah.
Arrow has that same effect.
Yep, and like you'll notice, like the intros on the 100, it had the standard CW opening, as with Arrow or Flash. It's not really special to the show itself. It's more of a CW thing, because I wrote also, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot this show used to have like a CW standard opening.
Yeah. I feel like this, oh no. That's right. Doesn't the CW drop that opening though after like seasons 1 or 2? Because I remember that being in the early seasons of The Flash, but not
no, Flash still has that, and so is Arrow.
It's so cheesy.
All the superhero shows on CW still have that. My name is
Barry
Allen, and I am the fastest man alive.
I would be like, skip recap. No one cares, Clark. No one cares that you were not that you were born in. We don't care. We heard it. We heard it in the first episode.
I forget. Do they keep that in season 2?
No, we've already switched over from like that to previously on the 100, and that previously Flash.
That's also CW standard.
Well, that's
previously
pretty standard on a lot of TV shows, especially when we have events that are directly linked to what's going to happen in that episode.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have that, because I know Once Upon a Time has had that. Bones has had that. Like, that's a pretty standard TV show thing.
Yeah.
Like, eventually when we get into some of the later seasons, I'm afraid to kind of skip the recap, because sometimes they'll bring up things like, hey, remember this thing that happened in season 2 and we're on season 5? And it's like, oh yeah. Huh.
I feel like it'll be easier since we're watching it in such a close together fashion. So,
yeah.
Well, kind of. I was recently watching something in a close together fashion, and I forgot certain things as like previously on this, and it's like it'll be something that happened in a couple seasons before. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm glad I didn't skip the recap, because I totally would have kind of forgotten about it a bit.
Yeah. Oh, hey, we have somebody in the chat. I haven't been paying attention to anything.
Yeah, they're here.
This is me. I get focused on one thing, and then I think of nothing else. What was I going to say? It's very interesting how we have one side of the narrative in this particular season. Just get more sides to the narrative that's going on coming into season 2. I guess we can start to kind of talk about expectations for season 2, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we're coming up on an hour, so I think we could end it with maybe, because this is all rewatch for us 3.
Yes.
But maybe what we wanted when we first watched it.
What we'd like to see explored. Well, we obviously know what Margaret wants to see explored, and that is for Bellamy and Clark. That too.
Hey, in season 2, we get Bellamy's arm.
It should be illegal to be defective.
I'm sorry if I know you too well.
Oh, one of the things I wanted to ask, was there anything besides, like, obviously my bringing up the, like, anti-indigenous coding, was there anything that you guys saw as an issue that wasn't cool and, like, it wasn't a plot point? Besides Murphy being a dick. Because that's a plot.
Murphy and Finn.
Mm.
A lot of the people, there were some people like getting it on. Like, it's like, is that necessary? Like, who is?
Bellamy walked out with 2 girls. I was like, seriously, Bellamy? I'm just like,
because one just wasn't enough.
When we get to season 3, remind me to come back to that, because there are things I want to say about that, but I can't really make that point until we get to season 3, because realizations are had about his, like, he's like, I can do whatever the hell I want, and I'm gonna go bang a whole bunch of chicks. Like, although props to Raven. Can we just say props to Raven for picking the hottest guy in camp to be her rebound? Like, that was a bad decision making all around, but still, like, she got taste.
At least she has standards for her rebound.
I mean, I'm sure she had standards for her. Yeah. Hey, any other issues?
I mean, Jasper has standards. Wasn't bad. Jasper has standards. Not going to go for the easy catch like Harper.
Ugh,
that's 0 standards. I forgot I'd ship Jasper with Octavia at the beginning. No, Finn with Octavia at the beginning. Like, I liked her with Finn. I liked her with Jasper. And then Finn ended up being a douche.
Well, Octavia said Finn is hers. That's like one of the first things she says when we meet her. She's like, he's mine.
And Finn was like, nah. Think again.
And then Jasper was all sad because Octavia wasn't paying attention to him.
You know who we didn't talk about?
Lincoln.
I really appreciate the fact. Yes, he's so pretty. I really appreciate the fact that both on both the Grounders side and kind of our side, the healers are the ones that are like, hey, we gotta think about how we're doing things. I like that through line. Like, you've got Clark, Abby, and Lincoln all being like, maybe we can find a way to make things work.
Was he their only healer?
Apparently he was Tree Crew's only healer. I'm not sure which crew he's in. I think it's Tree Crew.
I want to ask a thing, but that's kind of spoilery-ish.
I asked it after the live show.
Yeah. There's a lot of things I want to mention that's like, I can't say that yet.
Like, don't worry. And then we'll be able to say whatever the heck we want.
I like it.
Well, we have a channel on Discord to say whatever the heck we want. We do
have that too. We have some really great stuff on. I should probably check my Twitter and make sure no one asked any questions.
Yeah.
It's like, and she had a gif of Bellark, and I'm like, that's from season 5. We can't talk about that yet. It's just a gif of them standing. Like,
yeah.
It's just a gif of them in the same general. Or maybe it was season 3. I don't remember.
No, it was season 3 because Clark has a thing on
her
that.
Yeah, it's season 2. It's season 3. It's from the very beginning of season 3.
Yeah,
but we can't talk about it yet.
I like that version of Clark.
Yeah, season 3 was such a mess, but there were some good moments. Anyways, where were we?
Arms.
Well, we could still talk about our expectations for season 2.
I feel that's kind of cheating, though, because we know what's going to happen in expectation world.
I'm looking forward to kind of seeing again how the people on the Ark are handling coming back to the ground. There's something really, really like satisfying about a story that has people who have moved up to space because you can't live on the Earth anymore, moving back to the place we came from.
Especially
I really like that
since
storyline.
The people coming down were kind of in charge of the people already on the ground. But now the people on the ground are like, we got things figured out. Like, we don't need you.
There's so much manifest destiny. Like, one of Bellamy's speeches, I'm sitting there going, oh, that reeks of manifest destiny. You can tell a white person wrote it.
Yeah. You mean his We Are Grounder speech?
Yeah, I was like, oh, that was written. And like,
Yeah.
no shade on white people or white dudes, because obviously I am a white person, even if I'm not a dude. But the whole manifest destiny thing, you don't really, the way we're taught, we don't understand the issues with it until we start to question it. Especially if you come from a Christian background, because that's the one that really brings it up and like uses it.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else we want to cover?
I guess one of the things I'm looking forward to is what's going on in Mount Weather there. Hey, where are those reapers coming from? Like,
is anything going on in Mount Weather is the real question.
There's a lot going on in Mount Weather. But also those reapers and how they get those people in the little mineshaft carts.
Yeah. Oh, what was the noise that Monty kept hearing? That I didn't remember that part. I completely forgotten that he goes missing first. Don't answer the question. That's one of the things I'm like, oh yeah.
That's a
Sarah's
thing.
Like, I've already started season 2, I know.
No, but that's also something I forgot also.
There was a lot in it because Margaret, you mentioned like, hey, there's this toxic gas. Why isn't this brought up more? And me and you were like trying to remember. It's like, I don't know. And then we remembered at the same time. It's like, oh yeah, it's because of this thing.
We'll see the acid fog again. I thought like it's interesting to see all of the things that they have to deal with. We'll call them the mountain men because that's what they're called right now. That's what we know.
Yeah, the mountain men.
And all of the issues they create for the grounders. That is such an interesting thing. Like, where are the Reapers coming from? What is their purpose? Why are the Reapers?
There was
how did Finn and Bellamy survive?
There was a lot of setup for season 2, which I really liked. And did they? And also Murphy.
And what's going on with Lincoln and Octavia? Where are they?
Yes. I love all the setup for the future season. And I don't know if that's like Firefly, actually, or Serenity. I don't know any of those shows. Can anyone look at the chat and see?
Sorry.
Has anyone...
I'm looking. Oh, okay. Weird news. Which part is reminding you of Firefly / Serenity? Because there could be a couple of things there. I'm not sure which one you're referring to.
I was told to watch Firefly and haven't yet, so...
Is that the one by Joss We Don't Want You on Any More Superhero Films?
Yeah, it is, but it is a really good show. And movie.
It was before Joss Whedon was bad.
For all of his faults, the teams that he puts together for some of these shows create really great female characters.
Except for Justice League.
I liked Justice League.
Where's the Snyder cut?
Don't be one of those people. Oh, the Reapers in the... Okay, I see what he's talking about. The Reapers versus the... There's a race called the Reapers, and there's a lot more behind that than you know at the beginning of the show. Because the Reapers are kind of like, they kill people. Like, basically, that's what they do. They kill and they scavenge. Also space. Yeah, okay. I get what Weird News is saying. Firefly is good if you're okay with getting your heart ripped out.
Is it on Netflix?
I think so.
I mean, do you get your heart ripped out because it ends abruptly and there is no future seasons?
The show ends abruptly and there are no future seasons. However, there is a movie that wraps things up, but then they rip a beloved character out of your grasp because we like to kill characters for shock value.
Well,
I'm not a fan of that. I'm looking at you, Rob Thomas. Okay, so
wait.
I think we're ready. Wait, what?
Wait, who'd you say?
Rob Thomas.
iZombie.
Veronica Mars.
Oh.
He just has a thing for killing off Jason Dohring's characters. And I'm bitter about it.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so we're wrapping up here, or?
Yes, we are. The next, okay, so I will be posting on my Twitter, the same as I'm pointing at it, but you can't see me pointing at it. Where? Can I, oh, wait, there!
You can link it in chat.
There, right there. Do you see that? Look up the word nerd.
Hold on, I can...
Yeah, link my Twitter for me, Q.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
I'm a level 13 technician. I'm
a level 13 technician. Here's Margaret's Twitter. There we go.
I will be posting the watching schedule that I will be trying to follow for the next live show, but we're going to be going on Thursday, October 15th, tentatively, at the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah. And the watch schedule for that will also be posted on Twitter, as well as we have a Discord.
Yes, I will link all of that in my announcement tweet that I'm going to go tweet as soon as we're done with this live show. Oh, no, wait, I still have to figure out math. Okay, as soon as I figure out the math.
Yeah, because there's more episodes in this season, but here's the Discord for those who want to join too.
Awesome, good job. Smart idea. And it will be on my channel next time, rotating everyone's channels so that, everyone gets some of the viewer love.
Yes.
So... that's all I have to say is October 15th tentatively. It's a Thursday, 8 p.m. my time, Eastern Standard Time, and keep an eye out for the watching schedule. You do not have to watch them along with us the way we are watching them, but as long as you're done by October 15th, you're good.
Yeah, you could be like Sarah and just watch it all in one go, and then
you could just watch the whole series.
When I watch TV shows, I have zero self-control, and I just sit here and I watch, and then
I have a friend who actually, I told her, she's like, yeah, I used to watch 100, but I stopped mid-season 2, and she's like, I think I'll try picking up again. And she messaged me the other day, and she was like, I finished season 5. And she's like, I want to watch season 6, but like productivity things.
Yeah, it's just so easy to do.
It is, especially on Netflix, because it just lets you go to the next episode, and you don't even know what episode you're like, what episode am I even on at this point?
You don't know. You just don't know.
I am really excited to get into seasons like 4, 5, and 6, because I think those are my favorite seasons besides season 1. I think season 6 might be my favorite so far. Season 7 could be my favorite.
But no season has a better villain than Diana.
It all circles back to Diana.
Diana's kind of a piddly villain. She's like...
No, she is the best villain. No one saw that coming.
Did.
But... yeah, so, okay. I feel like we have been talking nonsense for about 10 minutes. So, I'm going to wrap it up. I have linked Margaret's and Q's channel down in the description box for anyone who is watching this back and has made it this far through our ramblings. We love you guys. We thank you for watching.
In the comments.
Comments. Comment down below.
Comment. What are we going to have them comment? We got to have them comment something that is relevant to season 1, but obscure.
Bellamy's arms.
No, that's season 2.
That is season 2.
I don't
Get it
know.
together, Q.
Let me see.
How about Clark with guns, since we really appreciate Clark getting a gun.
Comment down below if you are watching this back on how you feel about Clark with guns. But okay, I am ending this live show. I'm hitting end broadcast in 3, 2, 1. Oh my gosh, it's making me like double click things. Okay.
Oh my gosh, I hate it when it does that.